Hey there, fellow pilots and simmers, welcome back to the channel. Today we have a jam-packed episode all about the latest and greatest from Microsoft Flight Sim 24. That's right, we're diving deep into the newest Q&A from the dev team, covering everything from Sim Update 2, VR improvements, memory optimizations, the elusive marketplace release, offline downloads, an evolving ATC system, and a ton of career mode upgrades. Buckle up because we're cleared for takeoff. I'll break this all down into easy-to-digest sections so you know exactly what's coming and, most importantly, when you can expect it. Let's get started. So first, let's put everything in context. During most recent developer stream, the Flight Sim team spent nearly 2 hours going through the feedback snapshot and user questions. They know that the initial launch of the game had more bugs than expected. They also acknowledged the frustration from players. But here's the good news. They're tackling those issues head-on, prioritizing a robust cycle of 4 major sim updates per year, each with a thorough testing process. Think alpha, beta, and thorough flighting periods, so that new patches land with far fewer surprises. Now, let's unpack all the major points, starting with Sim Update 2, which has quickly become the star of the show because it promises some big leaps in stability and new features. First of all, barring any unforeseen delays, they're aiming to release it by late April. SU2 is shaping up to be more substantial than the first update in 2024, SU1. Here are the bullet points you need to know. Improved VR support. VR enthusiasts, rejoice. The devs confirmed that the biggest chunk of VR fixes, improvements, and quality of life enhancements, such as dealing with weird stereo rendering issues, mouse click inaccuracies, and possible new VR menu interactions, are all targeted for SU2. They've been holding off some VR changes in SU1 so they can properly test them in time for SU2. Deeper bug fixes. After the bumpy launch, the team realized they had to be systematic about bug squashing. They claim to have fixed thousands of bugs already, but SU2 will still bring a fresh round of improvements to memory handling, VRAM usage, and overall performance. Many of these changes come from analyzing user feedback, like the feedback snapshot, combined with internal telemetry data. Career mode additions and tweaks. SU2 will address some of the missing or incomplete aspects of career mode. Don't worry, I'll break down career mode in more detail later in this video, but yes, some of its biggest new features, like heavier cargo mission unlocks and filter options for missions, should start rolling out around SU2. Downloadable content for offline use. A highly requested feature is the ability to force download or preload large swaths of scenery, add-ons, or certain default planes for offline usage, especially helpful for those with slower internet or people who want guaranteed performance. While they're working on this throughout the next 2 updates, the devs believe you'll start seeing the earliest versions in or around SU2. They've emphasized that this is not trivial because of the streaming system MSFS uses. So that's the high-level overview of what SU2 brings. In short, we're about to see a more polished sim with a special focus on VR and memory optimization, plus some significant expansions in career mode. Mark your calendars for late April. Just remember, everything goes through a beta flight first, and if major issues pop up, it could push the date a bit. Better tested than broken, right? Now, the dev team took a lot of time to explain how they're systematically reducing bugs. They shared some behind-the-scenes processes. Extended testing cycles. Instead of rushing small hotfixes every other week, which can inadvertently break things elsewhere, they're opting for bigger, more thoroughly tested updates. Flighting and beta testing. They want as many community members as possible in the beta programs to help root out issues before an update goes live. Asset optimization. They discovered that some third-party and first-party airports had asset LODs, levels of detail, that chewed through memory or VRAM unnecessarily. This is being fixed on an airport basis. They highlighted that it'll take time to optimize each airport, but once it's done, memory usage should drop significantly. They also touched on the big memory question. Why does MSFS sometimes use more than my available RAM or VIA RAM? The short answer, the simulator allocates more memory than it actually uses, partially due to how virtual memory works. Still, they're refining it constantly to prevent overcommitting your graphics memory, especially on smaller GPU cards or on Xbox Series S where memory is more constrained. VR is about 10% of the player base, but that 10% is extremely passionate. Here's what's happening on the VR front. The devs admitted they couldn't deliver all the VR improvements in SU1. Instead, they're bundling most of them into SU2. That means everything from the interactive cockpit tools, the left eye, right eye mismatch, ground level rendering issues, and general performance are all on the table. Potential quad view and multi-view rendering. They didn't confirm specific advanced VR technologies like quad view rendering in detail on the stream, but they said they're in active discussions with major VR hardware partners. So keep your fingers crossed that as part of the deeper VR push, we'll see advanced VR rendering approaches later on. Refined menus and control. They want VR Flight to be as accessible as 2D Flight, which means consistent UI scaling, easy panel interaction, and better mouse usage. Expect a combination of code fixes and user interface reworks in SU2 and beyond. Next, let's talk about something that has huge impact on visuals and performance: the rolling cache. Recommended settings. The devs revealed they personally recommend anywhere from 32 to 64 gigabytes for your rolling cache if you have the space. If you primarily fly in the same region, a big rolling cache means you'll rarely need to re-download that area's aerial textures or photogrammetry. Offline download feature. Yes, the devs want you to be able to forcibly download specific airports, planes, or even entire regions. They caution that if you want to download everything, it might be an enormous file, potentially hundreds of gigabytes if not more, given the entire planet's worth of data. For now, a large rolling cache can solve a lot of your re-downloading headaches. Rolling cache UI improvements. They mentioned the request for a more transparent user interface that would show how full your cache is, or precisely what's stored. This is on their internal wish list, but we likely won't see it right away. They want to refine it carefully, so keep an eye on future SU patch notes. Now we come to perhaps the most requested content, the career mode. The devs confirmed that more people are flying the new mission-based career mode than free flight, an enormous success for them. But they also acknowledged it shipped with some holes and missing features. Here's what we know. Night missions and VIP missions. Early adopters complained about a lack of nighttime flights or an emptiness in VIP charters. Good news are that they're rolling out more of these missions via a server-side update. Some of these changes do require code from a sim update, but many can just be pushed via the cloud, which means that these updates will be unrolled as soon as they have them done and tested. No waiting for SUs. Heavy and super heavy cargo missions. Everyone's asking, when can I haul massive cargo in the Beluga or other large transports? The devs said a single plane, believed to be the Airbus Beluga, is required to fully unlock the heavy cargo certification in career mode. They're testing that plane now, and once it's fully validated, you'll see a chunk of heavy lift missions appear. They also plan to let third-party devs integrate their own heavy cargo planes if they so choose. Mission filtering by aircraft. Right now, many folks say it's a nuisance to scroll endlessly to find a mission that uses your favorite plane. The devs have heard you. They're adding a filter for you to see only the missions that match your specific aircraft preference. This is slated for SU2 or soon after, depending on test results. Future specializations. Beyond firefighting, search and rescue, cargo, and VIP charters, they're brainstorming potential new specializations. Real-world organizations, like certain water bomber operators and coast guards, have reached out to the MSFS team, excited to collaborate. Once the devs are done stabilizing the existing features, they'll likely push deeper into these specialized mission expansions. Now, let's talk about ATC. This is a big one because ATC is at the core of realistic flying. The devs addressed tons of questions around it. Here are the highlights. Regressions from launch. They admitted that 2024's ATC introduced a few unexpected bugs, from from odd climb descend loops to bizarre text-to-speech token issues where you get a big pause before decimal frequencies. They've identified about 30 major tickets to fix, many of which will be addressed in SU2. Some might come in SU1, but the bigger chunk is SU2. ATC as storytelling. Long-term, the devs see ATC as a potential source of dynamic events. Instructions to hold, reroutes, dealing with unexpected weather, shortened approach requests, etc. For now, it's about patching the basics, like not telling you to climb again after you begin your approach. But more advanced features like rerouting around storms or skipping waypoints are on the brainstorming list for future updates. Voice recognition and custom voices. Originally, they teased a feature letting you record your own ATC voice lines. That was shelved because the quality wasn't up to par. They do plan to revisit it once the core system is stable. Voice recognition, where you speak to ATC and it responds in real time, is also an idea they love, but they emphasized it's not a short-term priority. They need to fully fix the basic system first. Frequencies in EFB. A user asked if they could see which frequency to use for each airspace in the electronic flight bag. The devs said they're looking into more robust datasets, especially from their partner nav data provider Lido, for listing airspace controllers. It's more complicated in real life than you might think, but it's on their radar. Okay, let's move on to something that's been a huge question. The marketplace. For MSFS 2024, the devs have been building a brand new marketplace pipeline, including features like rentals, gifting, cross-compatibility with 2020, and more. Launch delays and challenges. They wanted to ensure backwards compatibility with MSFS 2020 add-ons, while also allowing new 2024 add-ons. This is an extraordinarily complex puzzle, partly because of entitlements. If you bought something in 2020, you own it in 2024, and so on. The devs have test teams scouring for bugs to make sure the new marketplace platform is stable. ETA and testing. Right now, the devs are aiming for mid to late February. If they run into big last-minute issues, it could slip by a week or two. But rest assured, the marketplace is the dev team's biggest internal focus next to bug fixes, so they want it robust out of the gate. Faster add-on submission. Once it's live, there should be a faster route to get add-ons posted, particularly for aircraft, sceneries, and more. Aircraft do still need a unique localized hangar description for multiple languages, which can cause a bit of a lead time, but overall the pipeline is set to be more efficient than ever. There's also been considerable concern about the encryption used on default FS 2024 aircraft. Players worried it prevents custom repaints, modifications, or community enhancements. The devs had this to say: everything is overrideable. Their virtual file system approach is supposed to let you override or mod any aspect of a default plane, like flight model configs, liveries, and more, without direct access to the encrypted files. If you see aspects you can't change, chances are they can fix that by clarifying the SDK or adjusting how the plane data is structured. No plans to monetize liveries. They emphasized they are not out to charge for basic repaints. The encryption is intended to protect certain aspects of the code, for security, and to limit piracy of payware add-ons. They want to keep the community modding scene thriving, so it's more a matter of clarifying the tools and documentation. Future tools. They hinted at the possibility of an export function for easier modding. This might let you extract certain unencrypted assets for editing. However, that's not locked in for SU1 or SU2, it's a future project. Now, some news for performance hunters. The team did confirm they're looking to integrate DLSS4, NVIDIA's next-gen upscaling approach with multi-frame generation. If all goes well, it should drop in Sim Update 2, late April. That said, they're also collaborating with AMD for possible FSR3-like improvements. It's not official on that front yet, but they want to keep an open door for major upscaling tech from both leading GPU manufacturers. Now, to wrap up the bigger picture, here's how the devs laid out their 2025 approach to content. Sim updates. They're targeting 4 big ones each year. SU1 arrives very soon, SU2 in late April, SU3 potentially around summer, June-ish, and possibly SU4 near the tail end of 2025. Each is meant to be heavily tested and come with hundreds, if not thousands, of bug fixes, plus new features where possible. World updates. They plan to keep rolling out major free world updates, but with a bit more caution to ensure each one is polished. The next in line is Brazil, aimed for March, assuming the marketplace is up and stable. Then they might move on to other exciting regions throughout the year, but they do want to align these expansions with the new marketplace pipeline so distribution is smooth. Local legends and famous flyers. They're still making special aircraft releases, like the Cessna 185 Skywagon, famous flyer number 11, scheduled to land alongside Sim Update 1. Then the Caproni from Ini Builds is coming with the world update for Brazil. They hinted that future local legends might only come if there's a real historical aviation story in that region. So, fewer forced tie-ins, more authenticity. Live content and partnerships. Red Bull Air Racing, Reno expansions, and other event-based content remain on track. But the devs said those features needed additional attention from internal teams, like transferring some projects back from external partners. So, if you love high-speed laps or want to see more official racing content, it's definitely still on the horizon. Before we end, let's do a quick lightning round on a few leftover questions from the community. Question: what about the memory optimization for Xbox Series S that was promised in 2020's SU16? Answer: they're working with the Xbox platform team to reclaim about 500 megabytes of memory for Series S and X. This should roll out soon, likely in the first half of this year, once they confirm it doesn't introduce new crashes. Question: when can we see a big leap forward for the entire ATC system? Answer: priority 1 is fixing existing regressions. Then they'll incrementally add more features, dynamic interactions, and possibly more real-world logic around approach transitions, reroutes, or even voice recognition in the future. No exact date, but it's a major focus. Question: is Quick Resume on Xbox the culprit for progressive texture downgrade in long sessions? Answer: partly yes. Because the sim never fully quits, memory can fragment, leading to lower LOD. For now, the devs recommend occasionally restarting the sim from the main menu if you see major texture downgrades. Question: will we get to see trains or ground traffic improvements? Answer: not specifically confirmed in this stream, but the devs always look for more ways to enhance the living world. So it's possible, but not on the immediate roadmap they discussed. And that, folks, is your comprehensive roundup of the Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 developer stream news from February 2025. We covered Sim Update 2, the VR improvements, memory fixes, and career mode expansions targeting late April. Career mode, heavier cargo ops, filtering missions, night missions, VIP flights, and more. Offline download feature, still in development, but rolling caches are your friend for the time being. ATC rework, ongoing fixes now. Bigger enhancements down the line with potential for rerouting, advanced instructions, or even voice recognition. Marketplace, late February target, cross-compatibility with MSFS 2020, faster add-on approvals, and hopefully fewer delays for planes and sceneries. Encryption and modding? They're not locking out user creativity, just clarifying how to override and mod planes in a secure, stable fashion. Final word. The dev team knows the sim had a rougher launch than hoped, but they're doubling down on quality, building strong beta phases, and working with third parties to ensure everything from memory usage to VR to ATC is improved. It's an ambitious roadmap, so let's keep an eye on those flighting builds, keep giving constructive feedback, and keep the community spirit alive. Alright aviators, that's all I have for you today. If this video helped you or got you hyped for the near future of MSFS 2024, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and ring the bell so you never miss another update. Got questions of your own? Drop them in the comments below and I'll do my best to answer them or direct you to the official forums for the devs' direct input. Thanks so much for watching, stay safe, stay healthy, and as always, clear skies and happy flying everyone.